Alright, to get some insight in like an everyday situation for me, this semester I was in a grad class where half the students were undergrads, and so we were able to split the readings into parts each week to make it lighter on us undergraduate students. And I was the one who every week would divide up who does what. I would always let them choose what they would want to read first, and I would just get whatever they didn't choose. Um, I realized that because we discuss everything in class, we should probably talk about what the other one, what everybody else reads, so that way we all have an understanding of what's going on in class. Um, so I also asked the professor to make a forum where we could uh, put down our homework, which is just like reflections on what we read. Um, and every week, except for a single week, I was the only one who ever actually added anything to any of them. They probably didn't even read them. Um, except for one week, I was sick and uh, I had the flu, and then one of the members called me, and I found it, and I just thought to myself, oh, I'll call back later. And then I called 4 days later, and he was very, very mad at me. In fact, the next time that we had class, since we only meet once a week, he told me that I'm not a team player and that I didn't care about myself, that I was rude and mean, um, and that I wasn't helpful. Um, and it's weird because, I mean, obviously, so far, like, it seems like I'm in the right and he's in the wrong because I obviously was helpful for most of the semester, and when I brought this up to him, he did admit, because someone else, the other undergraduate student, um, like, made sure that he understood, no, I did do quite a bit for the group throughout the entire semester. Um, but this one person, in particular, uh, he often he's a Christian, and he is one of those Christians that like has to make everything about like God. So like if something good goes his way, it's a miracle of God. If something bad goes his way, it's a test that God is trying to have him overcome. Um, and he is super optimistic, um, and he also tends to make things about himself. I also tend to do that, but like, so what I mean by that is like he'll bring up how um, um, something that another person says, like he'll make sure that he relates it to himself verbally, um, by coming up with a story or something, or like saying, yeah, I completely understand because this and this and this, and then he'll go on about himself. But I'm not trying to like make him sound like a prick, because I don't think he really is. Um, and he's also a very kind person. He wants to help other people. True, the way he thinks that is helping other people is to constantly ask them to go to church with him. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, he is trying to do what he thinks is best for people. And he is very against pessimism and stuff. And like, he tells me that he cares about me and that he wants to help me, but like when I tell him, I've had two philosophical conversations with him about depression and suicide and whatnot, and he just hated it. Like he's one of those optimists that like does not want to be told anything negative, and um, like he would get mad at me like because once he told me to promise that we'd always stay in contact, and I don't like making promises willy-nilly because I know that when a promise is made and then it's not kept, then that hurts, and I don't like causing that kind of hurt, so I don't make promises very easily. Um, if I think that I like might not be able to fulfill a promise, like keeping in contact with someone for the rest of my life, I'm not gonna make it. And I told him that, and he got really mad at me because he just wanted me to make the promise, and I was like, no, because if I don't keep it, then that's going to hurt you, and he couldn't accept that. He thought that it was rude of me, and he called me mean and rude for not making a promise that I wasn't prepared to be able to keep, because it just so happens that when people grow old, they tend to lose a lot of their friends. Like they stop being in contact. And even with today's modern like technology and interpersonal communication, like it's still not a guarantee that like all the people that I know right now, if I were to live for the next 50 years, we'd still be in contact for the rest of our lives. I don't think that that's reasonable. So I'm not going to make a promise like that. Um, but he does things like he put on he he agreed with a picture that he shared, um, which was saying things like, I am at a point in my life where I would rather um, be told the truth instead of like having someone like or be told things instead of having someone like sugarcoat things for the sake of my feelings. And I actually commented on it saying, well, why do you always get upset whenever I um, give you constructive, pessimistic criticism? And his response was, because nobody needs that in their lives. So, despite the fact that he literally just agreed with the statement that he'd rather have, um, like, he'd rather people tell him something that they disagree with him on than to sugarcoat it for the sake of his feelings. And then as soon as I like bring up something that I'd said, or like just something that I do, then he didn't want it, which shows that he was hypocritical about that. Um, Obviously, well, I think it's obvious, but the main point here, and this is important, is that in spite of the fact that I apparently get on his nerves, and despite the fact that every time he hangs out, he asks me to hang out with him, and I do, he calls me mean, and he calls me rude, and he tells me that I'm annoying him, and he tells me that like I am such a bum to be around, and things like that, um, or things along those lines. And then I ask him, like, well, why do you keep wanting to hang out with me? And he's like, because I care about you and I want you to. And that's the point I'm trying to get across. This person, like, for him, who I am, this pessimistic person, hurts him just by me being me. Now, I understand that some humans are just not compatible with each other. But my problem is that he, in spite of the fact that I hurt him just by being myself, wants me in his life. And that's awful because there are people in my life whom I hurt who still would want me in their lives. And I just, it sucks because I don't want to be in someone's life if I'm just gonna hurt them. Like, if I'm someone who commonly annoys or hurts you, please, like, don't regret my death because, like, I don't understand. This doesn't follow, but because I don't understand you, I don't understand your position of, well, despite the fact that me, this person right here, hurts you just by being myself, you still would rather have me around. That's nonsensical to me. And I hate the fact that people are like that people want me around despite the fact that I hurt them. And that causes them more pain. It's an awful, awful loop. Um, I actually like this, the whole calling me unhelpful and not a team player actually made me cry uh, a few times after it happened, but that was a few weeks ago, and so that's why it didn't make me cry now talking about it. But like it still hurts to know that like no matter what I do, I'm gonna hurt people, and I don't like that. I really I can't handle knowing that just my existence can cause harm to people.